Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Hey, 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 welcome into the live stream today. I thought this would be a quiet spot. And then as soon as I get set up and ready to go, we got buses and trucks and yard workers, tons of yard work being done. That's great. Anyway, I hope it'll be okay for today's stream. Hey guys, hey, how is everybody doing? We're going to start here, as you know, in about 10 minutes or so. Natalie will be joining me. We're traveling, so let me get a little light on the subject here. Hey, from Nashville. Hey, Cody. Hey, North Carolina. Clean my little American flag up here. You guys hear me okay? I've got a new mic set up. Connor, good to see you. Yep, Natalie will be here. We're going to be talking how to live off your rental income today. And there are a bunch of different things that you really need to pay attention to as it relates to living off your rental income. I think a lot of these live streams are really informed by big discussions that we're having in our house on a regular basis. So the microphone I'm using, Micah, right now is a Rode. So right now, because we're mobile and we're traveling at the moment, I've got a Rode microphone. It's the Rode Video Mic ML or MEL. It's a ridiculous name. The names that they come up with for electronics sometimes. I'm actually putting up a video I shot yesterday out on a boat, so you can hear the wind noise of it. So if anybody's interested in it, it plugs right into the side of the iPhone XS or XS Max, whatever. It uses a lightning port, and I've got a windscreen on it as well. No, we were out on we actually went to Alcatraz yesterday. Did you guys follow me over on the Instagram? I did a bunch of Instagram stories. We went to, Natalie's from San Francisco, and she's never been to Alcatraz. Well, it's been a dream of mine since I was a little kid to go to Alcatraz. So we took the kids, and it was like 109 degrees for the past 3 days. It's been like a heat wave. And so we thought it'd be cold. When you're in San Francisco, it's always cold. You've got to have a coat on. But it was so stinking hot. So anyway, I did a video testing out this new microphone on the boat with all the wind whipping around the ferry that takes you from San Francisco over to Alcatraz. So Natalie will be down here in a second. Just want to make sure the live stream is set up. So we're going to be talking again about how to live off your rental income, because it's incredibly important. But I think a lot of these live streams are informed by discussions we're having in our house, and so they're timely. We were having a discussion just yesterday, in fact, about, okay, we're using these accounts, we're going to funnel money from these rental properties to pay for this, move this over, make sure that this is set up properly. We're paying for repairs on this property. So all of those things are coming out of different accounts, and you have to do it correctly. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So smash that like button if you guys are new here. Please subscribe. How many new subscribers do we have on the show? And is that weed whacking or whatever the heck they're doing over there? Is that too loud for you guys? Is it too loud, or are we okay? I'm hoping they'll be done soon. It's so unbelievable, isn't it?
What?
Natalie's here.
What's so unbelievable?
Like I come out, I'm like, oh, this will be a nice quiet spot.
And then they start.
And they start. It's fine. All right.
Hi, everybody. I'm gonna wear the glasses again.
No, you're not.
I have to.
No,
My
you're
eyes
not.
are so puffy, honey.
Who cares?
I can't. No, because then they itch like crazy.
It looks ridiculous.
Honey, I can't.
All right, glasses or no glasses?
I have to
It
wear
looks
the glasses because my eyes. It's so dry here and so itchy. Honey, it hurts.
It hurts. So the glasses help you?
Yeah, because otherwise I just want to scratch at my eyes for... Yeah, let her do what she wants, please.
All right. It's just so dark in this spot.
I know it's dark, and I'm sorry about that. but I really need to focus on financial freedom.
Ridiculous.
What's Zaditor OTC?
Zaditor?
Is it an allergy medicine?
Zaditor?
Without glasses will help the air movement.
Jeanette says, let her do whatever she wants. All right. Glasses. Enrique Mas. Without glasses will help the air movement, though, Susan says.
I don't even... Oh, like through my eyes?
Yeah.
But it will stop so much pollen from coming in my eyes. So it's so dry here.
It's so weird, too, because she's from California, and look, I'm fine right now. Normally when you travel to like a location where you're not from, you're like, oh my God.
No, I think that's the opposite. They say it takes 3 or 4 years to develop allergies when you move to a new place. So I've always had allergies from this.
Okay.
Goggles. I should put on goggles.
Well, the kids
That would be great.
have all this yard equipment out here right now, and they're like water guns and different things and goggles and stuff. Maybe you could find some of those. We'll put those
Like,
on.
have you seen those new types of snorkel masks that cover your whole face? I should just get one of those, That would be great.
Bernardo, no. Go ahead and book a call with us. Eye drops. You're an eye doctor here, Eric? What do you think?
Zaditor.
All right, so
eye
Eric-
drops.
Yep, eye drops.
Zaditor.
All right, so
or eye
Eric-
drops.
Yep, eye drops. Okay. All right. Hey, Diego. Good to see you. How to live off your rental income is what we'll be talking about. We'll get started here in a minute. Do you have any notes?
I could have some notes if you ask
No, we went
me.
over like 4 or 5 different points that we wanted to make. So what we'll do is we'll open it up to some Q&A here at the end. So we'll do a little. Just be careful on the rocking of the.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so dry. I mean, it's been.
Well,
3
there's been a
days.
huge heat wave, so
Yeah.
everything is dry, and I just want to take steel wool to my face. Everything is itchy and dry.
Yeah. All right. Good. So we get the thumbs up here. We got a lot of people watching today. Good to see everybody. And we're on some pretty terrible choppy, but we're on some pretty bad Wi-Fi. So hopefully it'll be okay.
Okay.
All right. This one's going in now, but I've only got 1 bar of service here. These makeshift travel. So summer's going to be a little fun. It's going to be fun here on the live stream because we're going to be doing a lot of traveling. We don't know how what the Wi-Fi setup will be looking at. So
Yeah,
But-
sorry about that.
yeah, but we're on vacation, so hopefully we can bring you guys some value by being mobile at the moment. And I apologize for some of the. Normally our streams are quieter, but because there's all sorts of they're hacking down trees over here and they're building a house over here, and anyway. Okay, ready to get going?
I am.
All right. Get some notes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good to see everyone. All right, let's kick this puppy off. Okay. All right, ready? Good. Sound good? Fine, quiet space. Okay, kids are out of here. Good. Ready? Let's rock. How to live off your rental income. That's today's show. Let's dive into it, everyone. Hey, I'm Clayton Morris.
I'm Natalie Morris.
She's wearing glasses because of allergies. I'm not. My eyes are puffy. Welcome.
They are puffy.
They are
It's not
puffy.
like your way is better.
No, I know. We were having a debate. Glasses, no glasses. We're traveling. We're in California. It's a heat wave, 109 degrees, and everything's dry. And even the animals are seeking shelter right now. But today we wanted to talk about how to live off of your rental income, because we were having this discussion just the other day, and it's an incredibly important discussion when you have a rental portfolio, or if you're just getting started and about to acquire a rental portfolio. You can't commingle funds. You can't just pop money from one account to the next. And obviously the ultimate goal is to be able to live off of your rental income and achieve financial freedom. So if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe. We teach you how to build financial intelligence so that you can build financial freedom. So you want to kind of set the groundwork for this discussion about how to live off your rental income?
Yes, I do. So I have seen this done all manner of ways, and we have done this all manner of ways ourselves. So when we decided we wanted to be retail investors,
Retail.
rental property investors, what we originally had done was I owned a property in San Francisco, and then Clayton went and bought some properties in Michigan, and we bought them in our own name, in Clayton Morris and Natalie Morris, the lady and the gentleman, right? So
Right.
the property was owned and income was reported on our own social security numbers. And then we started to research how to be rental investors. We started to buy properties in an LLC, and it's just very different. So we wanted to talk about the cash flow. We're not going to, in this video, talk about why you own in an LLC. We've done that before. We have other videos that you can reference on how to buy in an LLC and why to buy in an LLC. But once that cash flow changes, now you're not getting a check. Your tenant is not writing a check to Natalie Morris, the lady. The tenant is now writing a check to Natalie Morris's LLC. So then how do you live off of that income, right? I had this cousin who he rented a house in Fremont near where we are right now, and the landlord said, oh yeah, can you please have the rent in by Friday because I want to put it in my account. And that really upset him, and he was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm putting money into her bank account, right? So obviously that's one way to do it. You can own it in your personal name. It's not the most tax friendly or the safest way to do it. So that's why we talk about when you own in an entity, then how do you actually get that money into your bank account, right? It's not such a direct
Off money in the wrong way, because when the IRS comes around, knocks on your door.
Right.
I mean, what is that, commingling? I mean, if you're getting rental income, personal expenses,
right, you can't do that.
you can't do it.
Right. Again, if it's owned by Natalie Morris, the lady, I can take that money and do whatever I want the safest way. So now we're saying, okay, you have a business bank account. Let's say it's Natalie Morris LLC owns the property, right? And so now the tenant is making the payment to Natalie Morris LLC. That's the bank account that now has the money, right? And you're telling the government, this is my business. My business is that I invest in real estate, okay? So now that business you're taxed as a business. It's a more, all of your expenses run through that business. They lower your taxable burden, right? But now you can't just take, whereas before, if the tenant was paying me personally, I could take that and then buy socks with it
Right.
for myself, right? Now I can't do that. Now, if I want to take that money and buy socks, the business has to pay Natalie Morris, the lady, and then Natalie Morris, the lady, can go and buy socks. So here's the thing, you can't take your rental income from your LLC and then just go and pay your mortgage with it, right? Because that's a personal expense, and we've seen people do that before. That's wrong.
Right. We've definitely had investors have told us they've done that. We're like, no, you can't do that. You shouldn't be doing that. And so I guess the question is percentages. So how much of a disbursement and how regular should these disbursements be? So are you set, or is this something that where we would want to set it up on a regular basis? So let's say for round numbers, you've got 5 rental properties, okay? They're producing a few $1,000s a month in cash flow every month. How much of that's going into your business bank account do you want to be siphoning off for personal expenses? Obviously, we want to be able to live off of this income. After all, this is why we're doing this, right?
Right.
We want to achieve financial freedom, so we want these tenants to pay for the life that we live.
This is a question we get a lot, and there's no hard and fast rule. I think it depends on your lifestyle and how much you're taxed on it as an owner draw, unless you are paying yourself a regular salary in which you're already taking taxes out. And you have to figure out what are your goals here, right? So for us, we want to live off of our rental income, so we pay ourselves a salary out of the holding company, right? And so we try really hard not to take a draw. Sometimes we have to. Sometimes some big expense comes out, or taxes come out, right? So, or something unexpected. And so we say, okay, we have to take money out of the holding company in order to pay this expense. in our lives that we hadn't otherwise budgeted for. And then we're going to have to pay taxes on that at our current tax rate.
And typically, and if you recall, like Garrett Sutton talks about in his book, he talks about taking a quarterly or a yearly draw out of that account. So you're treating this as a business, and in the way that you would file quarterly taxes. So again, to Natalie's point, the way in which you want to live your life, thinking about the expenses that you have in your life, and if you have no other income, then this is the thing that will pay for your expenses.
Right.
So you need to account for that, and whether it's a quarterly or yearly draw.
Yes, absolutely. So you have to budget. You know, we've talked many times about the profit first system. You have to budget for how much you want to take from that LLC bank account in order to live your life, right? But we've also talked about many times how we try to legitimately funnel our living expenses through the business because we want our living things that we want anyway to be business expenses. We both want to have cell phones. I actually don't want to have a cell phone.
I won't have a cell phone anymore.
But we have to, right?
Right.
And we have to pay that cell phone bill. We don't take a draw from the LLC and then pay the cell phone bill with our personal bank account. We pay the cell phone bill with the LLC bank account because we don't want to pay taxes on that money, and then anything that the LLC pays, right, is a taxable deduction.
Right.
So little things like that we try really hard to pay for as business expenses. I was telling, I've been spending some time with my dad, and I was telling Clayton, my whole life, I remember my parents, we would go to somewhere, right, like a restaurant or a vacation, and they would say, like, the bill would come and they'd say, is business expense or not? They would say, is this a legitimate business? Can we write this off? Because we did this, because this, because we talked about business for this reason, because we went out with these people who are clients, and they would say, oh, good, this is a business expense, right? Because everything that your business pays for, again, I'm going to go back to, you make $100 as a lady, you pay taxes on $100. You make $100 as a business, but you spend $50 in expenses, you're taxed on $50, right? So you want those things that you want to do anyway to be business expenses.
Right, and so these draws, remember, you're paying taxes on them.
Right.
So it's very important to think about this. This is income. And one of the things I think the reason that investors will always say, buy until you die. There's a reason they say buy until you die. Why? Anybody out there can think of why this is? Why would a real estate investor want to buy real estate until they die? Anybody? Well, I'll kind of help you out here on this. It's because if they stop buying real estate, then they don't have those deductions and depreciation to offset the income that they're now getting for their rental income.
Yeah, I
Taxes,
remember
depreciation, exactly. That's why you keep buying, and so that is income. That becomes income.
Right. One of the first years that we really had our rental portfolio intact enough to live off of, I was having this conversation with my accountant, and he's like, cash flow is just not the best, right?
Yeah, cash is
and
not
you would
good.
think that, and I was like, this just goes against everything that I've always planned for and thought about and executed on, but you don't want that straight cash flow. You want business deductions so that you could live your life through your income legitimately, right?
And I think that's the subtext for today's show is that we don't want cash. Cash, I remember, and this is not like name dropping, but I remember specifically having a lunch meeting with Robert Kiyosaki, and he said this. He had just gotten a check for $250,000, and he said, and he around the table, he's like, I don't want that.
No,
he's like, I don't want that. I mean, I know it sounds like, oh, Robert, woe is me, right? You just got a check for $250,000. But his point was, it's cash, and now that's income, and now he's going to have to pay a boatload in taxes. He'd much rather have that in a performing asset that is being able to depreciate. So he said, I don't even want to touch this. I'm going to move this over right now to the team. He was talking with Ken McElroy, who's a big real estate investor, and he wanted to be able to then actually get additional properties because of that investment, because of that cash. He's like, I don't want to touch it. I don't want this cash. So we want to think about how we can not have cash in our hands. And I think ultimately, if we have these holding companies holding certain amounts of money, so let's talk about that a little bit, right? We've got our LLCs that have our properties. They're passing that income from the tenants up to a holding company. Where does that money then sit?
I don't understand your question.
Okay, so we've got multiple LLCs
Yeah.
that own different properties, right?
Right.
Receive rent from those tenants. They go into a holding company.
Yes.
That cash flow in that holding company bank account, is it sit in that holding company bank account, or is it siphoned off and then moved somewhere else so that it's protected, and also then we're not having to deal with the tax issues?
Okay, so what we do is we pay ourselves a salary, and we pay taxes we pay it through QuickBooks. We, pay taxes in the state in which we make the salary, right? And then we try to make sure that the holding company has enough in there to pay the expenses for the business, right? We pay most expenses for the business on a company credit card, and then the holding company then pays the credit card. So we're making points on the expenses that we need to pay, and then once we keep enough in there again for turnovers, for taxes, for insurance costs, that kind of thing. But then inevitably that money is going to start to accumulate. And then once we figure, okay, we need that, we don't want that sitting there, that cash is a liability, we either decide to buy something else with it, we'll buy another property, or sometimes, like my dad was just telling you this story, he's got those warehouses. The warehouses have accumulated enough money, and so they're going to take an owner draw. He owns it with family, and so they're like, hey, let's get together and celebrate because the warehouses have been doing well, and we're going to take this big owner draw and share it. Because it's time, right? And so you have to plan for these kind of things. Again, it's about what your goal is, right? Are you trying to accumulate enough to buy something else?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's usually part of our goal. Like, great, we have enough. Let's buy something else that's cash flowing. Or do you need it to live your life out of? Do you need, last week you talked about diversifying our portfolio. A lot of times, it's like every week when you have a large portfolio. This one, we just got an email yesterday, the chimney's leaking, and this is what it needs, right? So because we're diversified, we're ready for that kind of thing.
Right, it's going to be about a $1,500 expense to get the
Yeah.
chimney cap fixed and the flashing around the chimney, and it's one of our properties. And fine, and I just approved it with the maintenance team, get it done. But that's going to come out of those expenses. So I think one mistake a lot of new investors make is they don't set aside money for these expenses.
Right.
You're going to have expenses. That's part of this problem. That's
Yeah.
part of this game, right? As a rental investor, you're going to have these expenses. That's why we always want to take out that 40 to 50% in our ROI formula, figuring these things out, because we want to make sure we have that money set aside in the event you have to fix a furnace 10 years from now, in the event you have to fix a chimney because of issues around the mortar, and get the masonry up there to fix that. So set that money aside and make sure that you're protected.
Yeah. I think Jeanette, is it her? She asked about
We'll get to those.
contributed capital. And so what if your LLC, you want to start using the money in the bank account, right? But you don't have enough yet. You've set up your bank account, but you can't really start to pay your cell phone out of it just yet. So the money that you take out of your personal account and put it into your bank account in order to get your business up and running is taxed as contributed capital. It's not, you don't get a deduction on what you take and put into your business first, to get started. But you can put it there so that you're, starting your business, but there's no real tax advantage to contributed capital. Otherwise, everyone would just say, well, I put this in a business, and so it shouldn't be taxed, right? It doesn't really work that way. Ask your tax accountant how contributed capital into your LLC affects your tax rate.
And so, everyone, I want you to check out this video, which is the best legal entities for buying a property. You've got to check out that video, and make sure to hit the subscribe button if you are new here, and we will see you next time in our next video and our next live stream. And now I want to open it up for questions and answers, and I'm so sorry about all the stinking weed whacking. And in Washington, D.C., they got rid of, they outlawed
Leaf blowers.
and stuff because just this
Noise pollution.
noise pollution. Come on, California, you outlaw everything else. Can't you get rid of this stuff? All right, what's it?
Don't go off on how you hate California.
I
Just-
didn't. I'm not
okay.
saying. I'm just saying I apologize for the noise.
Okay.
All right, let's open it up for questions and answers. Yes, I have an electric lawnmower. Jeanette says we need electric lawnmower. I have an electric lawnmower.
Yeah, we do, and we have electric blowers.
Blowers too.
as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so some questions. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, so we got to. It was Bradley that asked the question about if you want to pay for something out of your LLC. This question about paying yourself a salary rather than passing income through your property management LLC. I don't understand passing income through. Because we're paying.
Where do you see this question?
We are paying a salary
From who? FMRP?
out of the property management LLC. We are doing that.
Property Management LLC.
But like the holding company, I guess, is
Oh,
what
is that
he's
what you're
asking.
saying?
Yeah. I think that's what you're asking. The salary comes out of the holding company, not the company that actually owns the property, but the company that owns the company that owns the property. If that makes any sense. But yes, we do. We pay 13% Social Security tax. Yes, we take a small salary and pay all taxes on that. So yes, we do that.
Diana, that's awesome. Take great care of you. Hopefully, you've been working with our team. That's fantastic.
You take that one from J-Voss. This
J-Voss.
is a good question.
Paid off my rental. Do I save the whole cash flow for purchasing something new, or cash out refi and start buying ASAP? Well, again, I think it's we're not financial advisors and we're not lawyers, but if it were me and I had a paid off property that's cash flowing, I would want to see the whole picture. Like, what does your whole financial picture look like? Because you can then, again, the idea of infinite returns and using other people's money is a powerful, powerful tool. So to be able to take a refinance with a local bank, get a 4% interest rate, the bank then comes in and gives you a chunk of money, and you've got a tenant in there that's cash flowing. Let's say you're making $900 a month. Your mortgage now, your refi is $350 a month. You've got that cash flow from that tenant. Great. And then you can roll that money into another rental property. I mean, that's how you start creating infinite returns so that you don't have any of your own money in the deal. So I think it's important to look at your overall picture, though, wouldn't you say? I mean, you might sit back and say, oh, I don't want to take on additional leverage right now. I don't want to take on additional debt. And you have the cash to be able to go put down on another property, then maybe you go that route. So I think it's a real personal decision. I mean, we've done a bunch of refinances recently that have enabled us to buy a couple of additional properties, and we look at our portfolio and assess where we want to do some refinances and pull money out. But again, if the bank is going to lend you money to help you build wealth, that's such an amazing, powerful tool. The bank is saying, here at 4% or 5%, I'm going to give you $70,000. Now you've added to your net worth that you get to claim depreciation. You get the whole benefit of the cash flow. The bank doesn't get the cash flow. The bank doesn't get the tax depreciation on that asset. You get the full benefit of that. So I would definitely consider doing that, maybe even popping in and getting like a new construction property, something that you can even accelerate the depreciation faster, like what Diana's about to do. Diana, who's in here in our chat, she's buying one of our duplexes right now. She's going to be able to do cost segregation and be able to accelerate that depreciation really fast.
Yeah. So we're getting some pushback here about paying yourself a salary. The salary...
Well, that's because we have it set up as an S corp.
We keep it fairly low. Right. We keep our salary fairly low because we... Okay, what do you...
Well, no, I'm going to say that's important because we have an LLC, but because we are real estate professionals...
Yeah.
We then have to take a salary for our company, right?
Yes.
So it might be different for you if you work a 9-to-5 job and you've got 5 rental properties.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Because then you would be structured differently. And this is where you need to talk to your own accountant, because you may not then be structured or set up as an S corp or taxed as an S corp, in which case you're getting a salary draw,
Yes.
right?
Right. Yeah. And we actually recently lowered our salary out of our business because we reevaluated our freedom number. We're moving. We decided not to stay in this high tax state. We've talked about that before. And so now we're like, we don't want to live a life that's quite so big. We don't need as much. So we'd rather keep money in the company and not live on such a high salary in order to then buy other properties, right? We're investing for cash flow, not necessarily for money we want to live on. And so, again, we try and make sure most of the things we want to do are business expenses. We try and make, travel, dinners with friends who might also be investors, cell phone bills, broadband expense, these types of things. We want to make business expenses and then take as little out as possible to live our lives. And we are also in a bit of an existential crisis as a couple where we're like, what do we really need?
Yeah, you guys should check
in
out.
Life?
I just did a video on how we're not buying anything, and we're trying to have this discussion with our kids about you don't need things. Things weigh you down, right? We're kind of angry about our son yesterday because he just was like, I just want to go and buy something. We're like, no, you don't need crap.
Yeah, because his sister had a birthday and my dad's wife took her shopping, and he's like, I want to go somewhere and go shopping for something where I can pick something out. And we're like, well, what do you want? He's like, nothing. I just want to be able to go shopping for something. And I was like, dude, you got it all wrong. How did I raise this kid that just wants crap?
Yeah, some crappy toys from China or something.
Yeah.
You're gonna not even play with. I was listening to a podcast, a woman who was talking about that they've studied this now with children, like the toys that give sort of instant gratification for kids are like the ones that would like to light up and batteries and make noises, right? The kids are like, yay! And then they put them down. 2 days later, they never touch them again. But there are the other toys which aren't as flashy and aren't as, like bells and whistles that end up lasting like 15 years, and the kids will like use them for like 15 years.
Yeah.
And so like thinking about like these toys that can last a lifetime and be in your family instead of these crappy like battery operated pieces of junk,
Yeah. Diana asked this question: do I need a business bank account for both LLCs or just the holding LLC? This is something I've done wrong before. And my accountant now, she insists that if you have an LLC, it needs its own bank account. I have tried to get around that before because I actually don't remember how. I tried. It's a pain in the butt to have multiple business bank accounts. And so I've tried to make it so like maybe the holding company doesn't have its own bank account, but instead I take owner draws from the LLCs that own the property. That's wrong. The IRS will not like it if your LLC is a business and doesn't have its own bank account. So it may increase your risk of an audit. So yes, every business needs its own bank account. It's tedious, but you have to do it.
I saw someone asking about, someone wanted to know about a lender. We've had great success with Flagstar, Flagstar, Flagstar Bank. They've done a lot of stuff for us in Michigan, Indy. They're really good, and they work great with investors, so I would check them out. Churchill Mortgage, they do a lot in the South. You check them out. Churchill Mortgage, ask for Dan Kraus, Kraus. Those are some good ones. And then those are more traditional lenders. I give those two a try. Those are pretty good. I think gets you started on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else was asking about audits and whether or not, people, I think Tom Wheelwright, the author of Tax-Free Wealth, probably the smartest, tax accountant in the country. You've got to listen to his podcast, Wealthability. A great friend of ours, and we work with his tax team over at Wealthability. He says if you ever have an accountant that's afraid of an audit, run the other way. He's been through hundreds of audits, never lost any. He said because when you,
I don't know if he's never lost any.
That's what he said.
He's never lost an audit.
That's what he said.
How can that be?
I think he said that. I think he said he's never lost an audit. He's like, they're a pain. You go through them. He's like, but when you work with the IRS and you have a relationship and discussion with them, they treat them like human beings. They're going through. They just want to understand more deeply, like what's going on in your accounts and so forth, right?
Well, what does it mean to lose an audit? Like that you have to
That
pay
you would
some
have to-
kind of fine or
right,
something?
that you would have
or...
to pay some kind of fine.
Okay.
And I believe he said that on our show. I think he even has written about it in his book, I think. Anyway, nevertheless, that's a sidebar issue. But what my point is that you shouldn't be scared of an audit.
Right.
His point is that you shouldn't be scared of an audit. If you have an accountant that's scared of an audit, he said, what does he say in his book that accountants
Well, he says, you want to be, he says a lot of times your accountant doesn't understand that the tax code is encouraging you to be an investor, but then there are certain things like if you don't invest in an LLC, you increase your risk of audit. If you don't have a bank account for your LLC, there's certain things that you increase your risk of audit. And so, but he's like, that's not necessarily scary. You should be ready to answer for these things, because you're doing things a bit more unorthodox. And so your CPA should be ready to answer for these decisions that you made.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah, it's not that scary.
Yeah. See any other good questions here about how to live off your rental income?
I see a lot of questions, but then what do you have?
JSAC says you want to reinvest profits from the business in new property down payments. Yeah, I mean, I think the key is you don't want to be sitting on cash. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't.
But you also, it's such a hard question because we don't know, maybe you have credit card debt, right? So take an owner draw out of your bank account and get rid of that bad debt. Mm-hmm. Maybe you have, we can't tell you how you want to use your money. You have to decide what it is that you want to do with that money. What are your goals? What are you trying to build? What are you trying to free yourself from, right? Do you have some kind of high interest bad debt? Do you have a high mortgage on your primary home that you could be more free of that, right? You have to be working with your own balance sheet to decide what the cash needs are of your family and what can make you more free. This whole channel is about like what will make you more free. So taking a taxable owner draw to pay down your primary mortgage, it may suck, right? But it may free you up in the long term. So you have to make your own decisions. There's someone here in the channel that's really pushing us, like, how much should my salary be? We can't tell you that.
Rodent Defense is asking. I keep getting, keep your salary low, but what's the number? My accountant says as my profit gets higher, so does my salary. The IRS has, on the IRS website, they have specific breakdowns based on your job. Mm-hmm. So it has ranges, like what is reasonable.
Right.
So you want to take a reasonable salary, right? That's what it is. And, so within that range, the IRS is telling you right on their website what is reasonable. Now, we're in a new economy, so a lot of the jobs that a lot of us have these days, there's not a category for it.
Yeah.
Like if someone's like, hey, what do you guys do? Well, technically we're real estate professionals, but we run a company. Like, I don't know. So there's a lot of different people are freelancers. So I would just consult with your accountant, but check out the IRS website. They have a breakdown of job categories and salary ranges, and keep it within that range, I think.
Right. There was another question about, can I 1099 the contractors who are doing renovations on your home, on your primary home? Yes, and you're supposed to. Anybody you pay over, I think it's, I can't remember. We've done a whole show on this, on 1099 and your contractors. But yes, you absolutely are supposed to.
Peter has a good question. Peter Thirawana. I'm going to try to pronounce your last name, Peter. Thank you. And by the way, if you're new to the channel, this is a safe place for people. We really try to be a positive environment for you to build wealth, and there are no dumb questions here. There can be rudeness, which we don't allow here on this channel. This is a place for people to feel comfortable, and people are at all different stages of investing, so we are not better than anybody, and I want you to feel safe and comfortable here on this channel. That's what we're all about. So all of the people here in the chat, again, I love the kindness that you guys show. So thank you guys so much for the kind words and supporting other people. I see people, cheering other people on. That's really what I want here. But Peter says, what recommendation do you have for daily banking needs? Is there something that I should look for when choosing a bank? That's a great question. We've recently done a whole bunch of banking flips. We work with one bank, move to another bank, move to another. So you're the expert in this. What do you say?
Yeah.
Website, check, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, my banking needs have changed a lot recently because there are things that I have wanted to do on my own that my local bank did not allow. Sending wires for purchases, online bill pay. We were using a smaller free local bank that didn't charge for business accounts, but I couldn't do certain things with it. So, we are increasingly paying contractors with plastic because we want the credit card points in order to travel with our family. We came here to California with our 3 kids, and I didn't want to pay for that by taking an owner draw from the company. I instead wanted to use points from my credit card, so we did that. We all flew out here for free. And so for that reason, it's important for us to put as many expenses on the credit card as possible and then pay that off. Well, I wanted to make sure that I could make, online bill pay myself. I mean, you can pay the credit card with any bank account. That's easy enough. I really want a robust online offering. And also I really like that some of the bigger banks now allow guest access for your accountant. So Wells Fargo and Bank of America, I know, do this. I don't know about some of the other ones, but they allow your accountant to have their own access to your bank account. They can't pay bills or make transfers, but they can see all of the activity and download the statements themselves and feed that into their QuickBooks. So those are some of the things that I've been looking for. So, ask you, but I also don't want a high fee monthly expense. So those are some of the things I look for banking.
Diana, we'll have someone from our team kind of find out what's going on there. I'm not sure why some corporate direct's usually great, so I'm not sure, maybe something's getting lost in an email bucket somewhere and not getting back to you. But they do a great job of setting up LLCs. Let's see. Someone had a great question. Tico Blaine, I'm going to have my 15-year-old help me paint for the business. Can I or should I 1099 her? I'll pay her $100 to $200 per hour, or not per hour, right? that'd be
you
or
1099
is that just
over a certain threshold?
I think it's over 500
or
over 5,000.
You should 1099 them in order to report that income, but they don't have to pay taxes if they make less than $12,000 a year. So if she's doing work for you, you should 1099 it, but she doesn't have to report it if it's under $12,000 per year.
But this is a great way. I mean, we've done a whole show on this strategy. This is something we talk about in our Financial Freedom Academy, is how to incorporate your family and how to bring that into the business, because now you're lowering your taxable burden because you're paying her. She doesn't have to pay taxes on it. You're keeping it in the family, right?
Yeah. So what we do is we do pay our children for for jobs inside of our company. They do shredding, they do, sort of administrative work for us. And then they get paid, right? But we don't pay them more than $12,000 because a minor doesn't have to report income. Anything over that, they will have to. And then if my son then wants to take a golf lesson, or I don't know, whatever else kids like, the things that they say they want to do, go to a soccer camp or whatever, I have him pay for it with his money that's not taxed, right? So that money we would otherwise pay for ourselves, like we would otherwise pay for the soccer camp. He doesn't have to go out and actually, knock on doors and raise that money. He's earning it and paying for it with tax-free money.
Right. Carl Cooker says over $600 for a 1099.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't
so
sure if
you-
it was 500 or 600. Okay, good. Thanks.
Right.
Emex2 says, I'm also refinancing my house. I'm moving from an FHA with
With a
yeah,
PMI.
with PMI, which is PMI is what a ripoff, right? To another loan. Should I take money out or get the loan and apply for a HELOC?
You do your shopping for that. You have to shop around and see what the HELOC rates are versus taking money out yourself
Yeah, because-
versus putting that on your primary rate. Because HELOCs for a while were really attractive products, but if your new refinance, if your new primary mortgage is a good rate, just shop for it and see what's what. Susan, your question: how does my son pay no taxes? Anyone who's a minor does not have to report taxes up to $12,000 a year. It used to be $6,000, but the Trump administration doubled it, and so now if you're 18 and under and you make $12,000 or less, you don't have to report that.
So imagine you have 3 kids. Maybe they work for you. Get them working for you, right? And you could pay them to work for you that money, and also making contributions to their self-directed IRA accounts. I mean, now imagine you have 3 kids at $12,000, right? That lowers your taxable burden by that much.
By $36,000 is coming into your family and being used, right, for things that you want for your children. I did ask my accountant this. I'm going to admit to this. Okay, my son has a bank account. It's got some money in it. Can I take that and pay the mortgage for our family house? And he's like, I would not do that. What I would do instead is take that money and pay for things that he will want, right? If they're in a private school, you can pay their tuition with their own money. If they're going to a soccer camp, they're paying for it, right? I try to let my kids know what they are paying for. They have credit cards that obviously they're too young to have an online login and see what's going on with their credit cards. But if they want something or they're paying for something, right? They play PGA Junior, which is Little League Golf. Then I paid that with their credit card. They know that they paid for it. I really want them to understand this is their purchase with their money. And
the credit card that they use is not an actual credit card. It's called Green.
No, not anymore. They use, well, yes, we used to use Greenlight cards. We don't anymore for our own reasons. But to be honest, I just gave them credit cards on my existing, we use Capital One Venture card for our personal expenses because I want the points for their
Right.
purchases. So they have, it's my Capital One account, but they are authorized users. They have their own cards.
We've got a couple hundred people here watching. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day. We've got some great questions. We'll answer a few more. James Federico in the chat says he's got 6 kids. So 6. Now imagine maxing that out, 12,000 per kid. Holy smokes!
Yeah.
Right? That's what, 72,000. That would be.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You could literally lower your taxable basis by over $70,000 by
Right.
doing this intelligently.
Yeah, what James was saying, we had a conversation about this actually. His kids have lunch cards for their school, and that gets really expensive. So instead of him taking a draw from his income in order to pay the lunch fees with post-tax dollars, he could have them pay for it with pre-tax dollars,
Right.
making that lunch therefore cheaper for the
Right.
whole family, right? These are the kind of things once you start to think about, I'm really just paying for their stuff anyway,
Anonymous Music wants to know, does Flagstar Bank lend to an LLC?
No.
They don't, but they're very, the banks understand this now. They need to lend money. Banks are looking for people to lend money. They're sitting on so much money, and they are getting the crap kicked out of them right now by private lenders. So they want to. So what they'll say to you is, fine, you need to close it in your own name, and you quit claim deed it over to your LLC, right after closing, right?
Yes, they said, we are authorized to tell you need to close it in your own name, but after the mortgage is recorded with the county, you can put it back into an LLC if you want.
Right.
This is I don't know how official this information is, but they allowed us.
Well,
to
Garrett
do
Sutton, great legal mind, talks about it in his book. I mean, He writes about this exact point in it. Ewing Lauren, we see you. He says, I feel like you can't see me. We are, but we're just trying to answer some questions here. He wants to know, can each owner of an LLC opt for a percentage of what the business makes instead of choosing a salary?
Yes. Yeah, you can set that up in your. It's depends how you set up your partnership.
Yeah, just make sure you do that properly with your lawyers and your accountants. Because, again, with your business LLC reporting, you have to make sure that they're communicating properly, that your holding company LLC is talking correctly with your other LLCs.
Yeah. Jeanette, we have videos on the quitclaim deed versus the warranty deed. We've done shows on that. We can link you to that. The warranty deed is always going to be better, but if you're transferring ownership between yourself, like an LLC that you own, and your own personal name, there's reasons to sort of do the cheaper one. So we refer you to those videos, and if you need some help, let us know or write us off the chain. We'll point you to the answers to those questions.
Hey, Mr. Lozano, great to see you. Just drop by for a second, say hello. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Let's see. Mike Partington, I have 32 units and pulling my hair out. I think I need to refinance to get more cash flow and quit doing my construction business. You have 32 units and you're pulling your hair out. I think you might need to think about, well, first of all, why are you pulling your hair out? Are you managing these properties yourself? That's a clear indicator of pulling your hair out.
Right.
Maybe you need to get a property management team on board if you don't. Thinking about that. The other thing. Thank you, Jay White, for the super chat. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Any other questions you want to hit up here?
No, I think I appreciate them very much, though, everybody.
Yeah, you guys had some great questions here. Thank you guys so much. Laura, though, says, how do I get started with property rentals while I'm still in school with very little money? Well, I would, Laura, we've got a couple of videos coming out right now on student debt. I would really, to the best of your ability, try to avoid this student debt, if you can. It's just, there was a study released just yesterday, and I couldn't believe it, that almost 50% of all bankruptcy filings in this country, the bankruptcy filings 39% of all bankruptcy filings, when they looked at them, over 50% of them had massive student loan debt. Like the major contributing factor was student loan debt.
Yeah.
50%. So, I think if you don't have money, that's just a manifestation, right? When you are a real estate investor, you need to find the deal, right? You need to make the connections, and you have to have money. If you don't have money, then you need to find a deal. So that's where I would recommend watching our video on wholesaling. Watching some of the videos I've done with Tom on wholesaling and learning that strategy. And in your spare time in college, making phone calls, getting on the phone. Again, there are people that are too busy, but they have a lot of money. They can't find the deals. That's where you come in. That's how you can start to put these things together, right? So money is just a manifestation, and you can start to do a lot of things by being creative and getting on the phone and hitting the bricks, hitting the pavement, and trying to find deals yourself.
This question, that relates to Zach's question, can you buy things post-bankruptcy? When we started investing in real estate, Clayton couldn't qualify for a loan because he had a foreclosure on his record. I could, but then I lost my job. So we didn't have the option to do more traditional types of investments, and we had to get creative. And so I refer you to the series we did earlier in 2017 where we talked about how we had to think outside the box because we didn't have the option of using bank financing. And that's how we taught ourselves to use all these other types of avenues for investment. So, that's why we try so hard to give you all of these creative ideas so that you can figure out which one works for you, which one you're more comfortable with. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you guys so much. Much love to all of you guys. We do this every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And yes, we're traveling on vacation, so hopefully with all the background noise, it hasn't been too annoying for you. Hopefully you found this helpful.
Hopefully it
Thank you.
annoyed Clayton only the most.
Yeah.
I can see him like.
I just, I like everything to be good.
Yeah.
There's like a weed whacker, blowers, trucks driving by. Anyway, much love to all of you guys. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button and turn on that little bell notification too. They've just changed some of the bell notifications. I just got an update from YouTube letting them know. So if you turn on the bell notification, it lets you know when we publish a new video, also when we go live as well. Auction.com, it's fine. You just got to put up a lot of money first. You got to put money up first. And then you're competing with like a lot of longtime investors who have a chance to go out to each property and look at them and all that kind of stuff. So we've definitely done a bunch of bids on there, but I've never won anything. So anyway, thanks Notorious Nugs. Thanks everyone. Much love to you guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye then.
I'm trying to turn